Welcome back to By Sword and Musket, our channel where we discuss weapons, weaponry and the like. And today we're back in the bunker, as no doubt you can see. We're going to have a look at this rather nice Type 38 Arisaka rifle, made for the Japanese Imperial Army between 1905 and 1932, when it was replaced by the 7.7mm Type 99, because it was believed that the 6.5 Japanese round didn't really have the knockdown power that the larger or 30 cal rounds seem to carry. Anyway, what's special about this rifle? Well, what's special about this rifle is that we can actually attribute some history, some provenance to it, because of the box that it was posted back to America in. Otherwise, we'd be a bit lost. They made hundreds of thousands of these things in different series and at different arsenals, and it's very difficult to attribute any form of history to a standard military rifle. It's not like they were engraved with the owner's name. We have various markings which can tell us some of the story. So I'll start with the story of the rifle. It's a full-length rifle. It takes a bayonet, so it becomes even longer. It's 6.5. There's the cleaning rod, an exposed portion of barrel, finger grooves, standard flip-up sights. There is the water runoff groove, and yet within the water runoff groove you can see one of the grooves which would have had or would have guided the action cover, which is actually missing from this rifle, as many of them are. You can also immediately see this longitudinal line, which sometimes is thought of as a split in the buttstock. It is not a split. It's a little bit of cleverness from the Japanese in that it is in fact a dovetail joint that runs the full length of the butt. Now this enables them to take or to use less timber and take two pieces out of one plank, if you like, to make their rifle butt. But it is a nice hardwood. It's not the later stringy stuff that you see on the Type 99s, and it's in fairly good condition. There's no other splits or breaks. What it does show are the marks of usage from a long and illustrious military career. Now, the Arisaka itself, design-wise, is basically a Mauser rifle with a straight bolt handle. Can be fed with a stripper clip. There's the cutout on the other side. And the major difference between any other Mauser you might see is this large, beautifully decorated, what they call mushroom head cocking piece. Now that works on the open palm. If you think of yourself in the jungle, steaming hot, rain coming down, everything's slippery, everything's wet. If you place your open palm against that and turn it round, thus bringing this protrusion, which is at about 10 o'clock, to 12 o'clock, you've then locked it on safe. To release from safe, you merely press against it again and turn it back to the same position. It's ingenious, it's simple, you can do it in the dark, you don't have to fumble around and find it, and you can get grip of it with that lovely machining pattern which is on the rear end. That, of course, was lost at the end when the Type 99s came out with welded caps, and they just didn't have the time to muck around with that kind of thing anymore. If we move to the back of the rifle, we can see that it's got a solid metal butt plate, and that covers up the open end of the longitudinal dovetail joint. We've got a rack mark 72 on the side. Now let's get into the history of this particular rifle. If you look at the receiver, the crest of the receiver, we see the Imperial Chrysanthemum mark. Now that has been defaced. That could have been done on surrender. We assume that this rifle was surrendered because the serial number on the action does not match the serial number on the bolt. And practice on surrendering rifles was to throw the bolts in one pile and the rifles in another. And nobody is going to sit around, even after the war, and try and find the matching bolt and action. The original markings on this are the two lower markings. Now, I don't read Japanese, but I believe they say Type 38. Between the original markings and the chrysanthemum is an additional mark which has been added. It's much lighter and finer. It almost looks like a large X between the two gas holes. That is the mark for a training or educational facility. So I believe in Second World War, when this rifle was deemed a secondary weapon, it was sent back and used in a college or educational facility to train all the children that were being indoctrinated that the Americans were all going to come along and eat their baby sisters and put them on bayonets, etc., that they needed to resist the invasion, learn to shoot, and be able to defend the emperor's land. After all, they were all serfs, and their greatest honour would be to die for the emperor. So the other indicator that this is an educational rifle is seen on the serial number. You can see here alongside the action, below the groove for the sliding dust cover, the original serial number 47900. Then the Kokura Arsenal mark, which is an early Arsenal mark. There is no series number, so this I believe was an early rifle. However, and I've seen this before, those two large circles have been added at a later date. They are an indication that it is being passed back and down to an educational facility. So we say, how come this rifle, this 5-shot, perfectly functional rifle, ended up in a training facility and then was taken by an American and sent back to the mainland? Well, at some point towards the end of the Second World War, the Japanese military and production machine could not keep up, and the rifles got more basic. We hear talk about last-ditch rifles in the Type 99. This was then brought back into service and just happened to have been sent to the Pacific, where the fighting of the islands was bitterly being contested. Every rifle was needed to fight off the advancing Americans. How do we know this? Well, this rifle was purchased in a smallish auction in America. I then brought it back to the UK. Through clever and close examination, well, I think it was clever, of this handwritten text, I think we have the 848th Ordnance Company. Where were the 848th Ordnance Company? Well, they were on Saipan and Iwo Jima. They were known as a gas supply company, and they provided gas to back up the advance, the landings, and then eventually to fuel the aeroplanes which would go on to bomb mainland Japan, which was the reason for taking the islands in the first place. Here we have information on what's within the case. Now it talks about a trophy certificate being enclosed. It's unfortunate, but that is missing. It's a shame because it would have really pulled this thing together. But it's pretty obvious that this case was built and made by a GI with the name of Myers and sent back to Illinois in the US. Within the case is the original, rather manky now, impregnated, thick brown or canvas paper, which in fact has protected the rifle. And if this was smell-o-vision, you could smell the lovely, oily, aged smell from this thing that really looks like it should be wrapped around a body, but in fact has functioned perfectly well to preserve this rifle. You can see that she fits in there perfectly. With the bolt out, laying down there, that rifle has come back through the American postal system via San Francisco, California, and ended up sent back to either the mother or the wife of G.I. Myers, who was busy hauling fuel onto the beaches of the hell they called Iwo Jima or Saipan. Respect to that gentleman. I don't want to take it any further. I know the address still exists, and it's a picture of tranquility and lovely decking and white painted fences in America. And had they not stood up and done their thing, had G.I. Myers not helped fuel the advance, we might not have our liberty today. So that is a military rifle with a very definite provenance. It's available and it's listed on our website, www.byswordandmusket.co.uk, and I hope you enjoyed this, and please come back for more talks and more interest. Click like or subscribe, send me your comments. I'm receiving some lovely history and some lovely information from all you good people out there. Let's keep it going. Thank you for viewing.